Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I'm Tommy Burton, and today's Guitar Hero album is the legendary Eddie Van Halen and his band Van Halen, their second album, simply titled Van Halen II. Released on March 23rd, 1979. This is the classic lineup of Van Halen, featuring Diamond David Lee Roth, of course Eddie Van Halen on guitar, Michael Anthony on bass, and brother Alex Van Halen on drums. On the back cover, twirling some fire drumsticks. Produced by Ted Templeman, who was a longtime producer of the band. This was an interesting album because if you go back to the first Van Halen album, which was a groundbreaking electric guitar album, influenced lots and lots of players. Pretty much anybody in the 80s that shredded guitar was influenced by that first Van Halen album. This one was a bit more, and one of the reasons I picked it was it was a bit more of a pop album. It featured some really catchy playing. Here's the inner sleeve here, and I'll pull the record out and show you this Warner Brothers label. And it was a bit more of a, whereas the first album was a little edgier, recorded quickly, almost a live in the studio feel. This album was, like I said, a bit more polished and less raw. A couple of great singles on this album, "Dance the Night Away" and "Beautiful Girls," and those were both hit singles. And it's a feel-good album. There's kind of a bit of a party atmosphere to the record, like a lot of that early Van Halen stuff. And so it's you know, the kind of album you could put on and just have a good time listening to it. Now, the recording of this album was less than a year after the first one came out, and it took them about 3 weeks to record it. And so a lot of the songs actually existed prior to the first album. And there's some demos that are out there. Some bootleggers and Van Halen fans know about the demos that were recorded by Gene Simmons. Like "Beautiful Girls," it was actually called "Bring on the Girls," I believe. And "Somebody Get Me a Doctor," which is also one of the tracks on this album. And so long-term or die-hard Van Halen fans know several of the songs on this album. Now, if you look at the liner notes in the album here, and the picture here of David Lee Roth, Diamond Dave, I don't know if you can see from the glare, but he was in a cast. He had broken his heel doing this leap right here on the back cover. So he did this leap and broke his heel, and then was in a cast for the other part of the photo shoot. So an interesting little side note on there. Now also in the liner notes there is a thank you to the Sheridan Inn of Madison, Wisconsin, because Van Halen stayed there on their first tour and they destroyed the 7th floor. They had fire extinguisher fights in the hallway, and they threw televisions, and they blamed it all on Journey, who was also touring with them at the time. But it's just a fun record. A little bit of Bad Company type sound, Aerosmith, kind of the bravado of Aerosmith, the swagger, but it also kind of has a little bit of that live feel of the first album, and so I would say it's just a lighter version of the first album, whereas the first album had a little bit of a raw edge. This one, like I said, more polished, but it's definitely continuing in what they were doing. And so Van Halen 2 is an appropriate name. As a matter of fact, you can probably double this up with the first one and make a great double album set. So Van Halen 2, and of course Eddie Van Halen, histrionic guitar player. So there's that as well. So today's daily record, Van Halen 2. If you know this album, comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's Tommy Burton 75. Love interacting with you guys. In the meantime, I'll see you all again tomorrow with another Daily Record.